Have a good night. Go Leafs, go.
Thanks, Lauren. Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go, fellas.
Post-game recap of the Leafs versus Panthers live on the podcast. Well, I mean, I'm posting it, but yeah, Lucas, we're adding it on at the end to give some more, I would say, just relevance and updated chat after Corwin. Huge shout out to Lucas for getting that going and closing it out because I was on the road to stream for the Leafs. I streamed for the first period, but yeah, the rest of the way, man, Lucas, let's talk about it. Panthers, obviously they were desperate for points tonight. Samsonov storyline, Matthew Knies debut, Mitch Marner's at 99 points, Matthew's at 40 goals now. There's quite a few things we could go through here, but Lucas, man, 2-1 dub, Johnny Toronto. How you feeling?
There's so much there, right? There's so much to talk about, buddy. I'm feeling great, man, after that. I mean, I knew when Tavares was going in, he's going backhand shelf. Yeah. You know, it's like you said, 2 minutes and 27 seconds. What a shift.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, it's a big 2 points just for morale for the Leafs. Obviously doesn't mean much in the standings. It's good to go into the playoffs on a high. And for Florida, it's obviously a tough one because they could have clinched today. I think with a win. Yeah, because they would have more regulation wins than the Islanders who lost today to Washington.
Was it 4-2 final?
They lost. Oh, dude, it might've been more than that. I think it was closer to like 6. I think the Capitals maybe buried a few empty netters.
Damn. Well, that's crazy, right? Because it was 5-2 final.
5-2, yeah.
And you know what? I actually look at the rest of the way now, and I know we talked about it a little bit. It's like the Penguins just all of a sudden they control their own destiny against two of the worst teams in the league. So I don't want to jinx Pittsburgh, but there are at this point, Lucas, there's no excuses for the Pens. You are playing the Blue Jackets and Blackhawks. There's no excuses. You win those 2 games, you're in.
Yeah, I think the Panthers are in the toughest right now, just with the fact that it was right there for them to clinch tonight, and now they got Carolina in their last game. It's going to be a tough one.
Have the Habs. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and Carolina, I don't know. They still have stuff to play for, really, to lock up the division, right?
Oh, 100%.
So I don't know how it's gonna shake out if they're gonna play their whole roster in the final game. But yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh, like you said, they control their own destiny with those two games against weaker teams. The Islanders have Montreal. So that's a weak game that they should win. Yeah. But they need some help. And I didn't think I'd be saying that. I was very high on the Islanders making it. I'm not going to back down with Sorokin. I think they're going to get that win, and maybe they'll get some luck. But it's going to shape up like we wanted it, man. It's going to go right down to the wire.
That's crazy that, I think, well, okay, I don't want to throw this agenda out there, but I feel like there's extra sauce now for the Islanders fans to hate the Leafs. The fact that we gave the Panthers the 1 point tonight, because now the Panthers and Penguins, it's looking like those two teams have the edge here, obviously. But I don't know. As you said, the Hurricanes looking for that 1 seed. The Devils do play the Sabres tomorrow night as we're recording. So we'll see what the Devils do, obviously. But just quickly, Lucas,
as far as the Leaf game too, I was
going to go back to the Leafs.
Yeah, Matthews obviously with 40 goals. I mean,
yeah.
Come on. Did we think he wasn't hitting 40 goals? This guy's done it 4 years.
Hey, well, you were nervous a little earlier. You were nervous a little earlier.
Nah. You know what?
Come on, it's on recording. Get out of here.
You know what though? In deep down, I knew he was hitting it. I was just worried they were gonna rest him and then he wouldn't hit it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you because now tomorrow night, man, I don't want to skip past some of the topics. I'm not surprised if Matthews is rested, and after JT's goal tonight, I think Tavares on a high like that, rest him, maybe play him against the Rangers. But the whole thing was you wanted Tavares to get going. Well, he just scored an OT winner against the desperate Panthers. So I'm saying rest as much of a hot take as it is, rest at least one of those 2 centers tomorrow. Have O'Reilly play heavy minutes, get him going more.
I agree, man.
Yeah, just quickly, Matt Knies. We got to talk Knies, and then we'll finish it off with just more thoughts on the scenarios for playoffs. But so Knies, I feel like, man, I liked a lot of what I saw in the first period. Heavy on the forecheck. He created 2 high-end chances for Kerfoot in front, both shots on net there. So I liked his first period, a little nervous at times, but man, I feel bad for the guy. The rest of the way it was pretty rough, I think. And he got sheltered towards the end of the game, but 2 brutal giveaways. But just outside of that, man, how are you feeling on Knies?
Yeah, I mean, it's about what I could say was expected tonight from him. I mean, he got even a little more ice time than I thought. He had just over 13 minutes, and that's a lot for a kid who's playing his first game. And he didn't really have much time to get acclimated to the team or anything like that. He was shot right in.
He just jumped in, yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta give him props for that. And And, you see the flashes of what he has, and it's only good signs. I mean, in the second period, I know there was that one shift that he had a couple tough turnovers, especially right at the blue line, and maybe some nerves, maybe just, overall the NHL a lot tougher just to get the puck out in general. So I don't want to look too deep into the game for him, but great to get him his first game. And I hope he plays the last two, because I think he should get, right around 13, 15 minutes a game and see what he has. Going into the playoffs. But John, like we don't really know how Sheldon Keefe's going to line up as far as game one goes. And a lot of it, we might still have to see depending on injuries and stuff like that. So good for Knies, but overall, like not much in terms of, storyline to talk about as far as a big goal or like big 2 points or something like that. But like you said, I liked his game in the first, and he almost had an assist right off the get-go. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, just in terms of the forward dynamics, like, I don't know if Knies will be in or not, to be honest. Like, I feel like those are the kind of mistakes that you really wanted to like see if he would avoid, because that just can't happen in the playoffs. So I feel like that's going to be it's going to affect the decision. Obviously, as I said, tomorrow night, if they could rest at least one of the centers, I would like to see a look like with Achari in the middle, maybe Kampf on, like, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a scenario where Kampf has the flexibility to go to the wing. So I like the opportunity for Achari at center. But yeah, I thought Kerfoot looked okay tonight. I mean, he had some chances. I don't think there was any mistakes on his end. What do you think of Kerf?
He looked like he was buzzing, because I think he was trying to obviously make Knies comfortable on the line with him. So I actually like Kerfoot's game a lot tonight, especially in those spells where Knies was looking good on those shifts. But yeah, if Knies is to come in, like we talked about with Corwin, it's going to be either, Lafferty coming out, Kerfoot coming out. Like, who is it, right? Who is the guy that's coming out? Personally, for me, it'd be Kerfoot. But it's tough to call, man. Like, these are NHL vets.
It also depends on what version of Lafferty you get. And it also depends on like how you see both players. Like, if they trust Kerfoot as like a fill-in at center, or like a guy that can PK over Lafferty, it just depends on how they see that scenario. Because I mean, we've talked about it. Like, the reason why Hall is so solidified in this lineup, regardless of how he's playing, is the PK, right?
Yeah.
So that comes into play. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you caught it on camera. I was killing a spider on the wall. But
no, I didn't see it.
It was low key. I kept it low key. Anyways, the only other thing I wanted to touch on, and we just touched on it off air, was Nylander and Tavares in that OT. And I think we've seen it. I don't know if it's because they want to, I don't know, save it for playoffs. I don't know what it is, but OT was a prime example of Nylander, Tavares kind of going through the motions. Specifically Nylander, we've talked about it. Like, Corbin was pumping his tires earlier, and I mean, hey, Nylander deserves the credit, but the last 10, 15 games, we've seen a lot of coasting from Nylander, just unengaged. And that was like that full 2-minute shift, Lucas. And then all of a sudden, puck goes in the neutral zone. Nylander's like all over it. And then obviously we saw Tavares all over the puck on the breakaway. Is there something to that, man? Or do you think it's just like, is it an effort thing, or just what is it?
I don't know if it's an effort thing. I'm really trying to think, like, really, if it's really something to get that deep about. I think maybe it's just that, Nylander's not known for his defensive game, and
because that was rough to watch for a hot minute there.
it was, but I feel like once the puck comes out and he has that burst of speed, it's not just that he wants to score. I think he's so desperate at that point. I need to go all out for it to make sure I can change. But it's the Leafs in overtime are just weird, man. Like, they don't win nearly as much as they should. I think they're 7-9 now on the season.
Let's just say Leaf fans should be happy there's no 3-on-3 OT in playoffs.
And that there's something to that, where it's like, I don't want to overthink about how they play in 3-on-3, because at the end of the day, it's not how the cup's awarded. So, I don't want to overthink about that one, but I do want to highlight quickly Matthews obviously hitting 40, but also at 299 all-time goals. He's one away from 300.
Unreal. That'd
be a big milestone to hit before the end of the year. If it doesn't happen, it'll be his first goal next season, which is also a good story. Johnny, I think he's in the top 5 or 6 now all time for Leafs.
It's up there. I think it's top 5 or 6. But I was also going to say, Lucas, and I know you've been beating this drum, and I said it last pod, like, it's embarrassing that people talk about Matthews having a down year. Just like, stop. If this is Matthews' down year, there should be no conversations about it ever, because if this is the worst it's going to get for Austin Matthews, stop. Don't even talk about it anymore.
Well, so today he tied Rick Vaive for number 5.
So that's what it was.
Now he's number 5. The next goal, he'll be all alone at 5. And you know what, dude? Like, at the end of the day, you look at his stats in terms of games played and how many goals he's got per game this year and all that. And it is a down year for him. And that's crazy. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, that's how good this guy is. He's 40 in the bank on a down year. He scored 40 in 4 years in a row. And 2 of those years were COVID years, man. Like, this guy, come on. we can't be slandering this guy. He's going to be at 90 points roughly, right? I mean,
yeah, and I think if we talk about the total points and total production too, I also want to add something that I didn't bring up earlier in the Corbin chat is, did you know that Tavares, like 50% of his points this year are on the power play?
I would have suspected that. I didn't know that, but I would have suspected.
Like,
he's a power play god.
Yeah, so I think after tonight he's got like whatever 79 points. He's close to 80. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I looked it up and I think like 38 of his points are on the power play. Also, just quick fun fact, I tweeted this out today. Tavares is top 7 in the faceoff category, like for faceoff wins, in terms of if a player's had at least 75 games played this year and 1,200 faceoff attempts.
Wow.
So dude, JT,
he's nice on the dot.
He's nice on the dot. I was saying a couple faceoffs in a row there and on the power play, watching O'Reilly or Matthews struggle a bit. And okay, O'Reilly's usually good on the faceoff, but Tavares, man, he's been super consistent with that. And I will say, Lucas, looking at that OT winner, Tavares is only one of a couple on the team that have like the patience and confidence to do that. I feel like a lot of guys would either rush it or keep the puck low near like if you looked at Lion's pad, like if that's anywhere like this much off the ice, it's a save. Right.
Yeah. And I think if Matthews or Marner or Nylander, those 3 guys come in, I don't necessarily know if I'm more confident in them than John Tavares on a breakaway. I think on a one-on-one breakaway, I like John Tavares, and I like Ryan O'Reilly does that move too, that backhand shelf.
Yeah. Man,
like
honestly, if he didn't muffin that puck a little bit there on that, it was kind of like a half break for him on Lion. Yeah. Like he looks confident, man. I think it's also just a maturity thing, like the patience to hold on to the puck longer. I mean, like you've seen the progression from Nylander and Marner over the years, but you still see sometimes they rush plays versus like O'Reilly and Tavares waited out.
O'Reilly's just like he's like the least flashy player, but it's just there's something so beautiful about watching
simplicity.
Him play. Yeah, right, like unbelievable. But last thing on the Leafs, I do want to say we haven't talked about him yet, and he deserves big kudos tonight. Samsonov.
Yeah, sorry, we buried the lead.
Performance.
We buried the lead big time.
Another unbelievable performance. Save on Tkachuk in overtime is the only reason we're talking about the Leafs winning this game. He made a number of saves in overtime. He probably had
unreal. Yeah, I mean there was I think there was Lucas. I think there was 2 or 3 like cross crease or cross ice plays where Samsonov got across to make the save. Were you worried when Brody fell on his leg there? The same leg.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones where it's like I saw your reaction to it, and it's one of those ones
where I was
like,
shitting myself, man.
There's no need to maybe go all out, but in the moment, you don't think like that, and you don't think that's how it's going to end up. And TJ Brody is, even in overtime when Brody and Montour were going at it, it's just every time I see Brody on the TV, man, because it's not much like that you really notice him. He might be Kyle Dubas's, like this is different perspective right now, but he might be Kyle Dubas's best pickup. Like he's just
that, or like I would say the Bunting signing was like for that value. But yeah, you're right. Honestly,
for value, we never talk about him. No one ever talks about him, but he's just consistent night in, night out. That one was scary. And if that goes a different way, I mean, we're talking about it completely differently, but Samsonov might be battling an injury. I know that theory is out there.
Maybe,
he looks like he's a little uncomfortable, but you know what? I kind of always think he looks uncomfortable in a way. He doesn't have this beauty simplicity like Freddie Anderson had, where it's just very...
No, yeah, like Sam's, like I would say, like I hear some players talking about like Samsonov's control or Samsonov's positioning, but it's like, I feel like if you look at Ilya Samsonov and what he's done this year, like it's athleticism, like full out. I just think, in different ways he gets across, in different ways, like even sometimes in his arm movement, whether it's up high or like to close to his side of his body. Like, I mean, 44 saves in the night. I mean, he gets it done. So,
and there's a reason he was a first round pick. Like he had all this, potential. Like he's man, he's a solid goalie. He's proving it night in, night out for the Leafs. I know that's kind of against our Corwin chat in terms of just like, goaltenders are just, it's tough. It's really tough to like one year to the next. It's so different. It depends on the system they're in and all that, but he deserves so much credit this year. Truly, like now that the season's just about to wrap, no matter what happens, like truthfully though, no matter what happens in the playoffs, you have to look at the body of work of Samsonov in the season and really respect what he's done this year. He has gone above and beyond what fans could have asked for. Really. I mean, when Kyle Dubas took the chance on this tandem, it looked like a downgrade from last year. And Samsonov has been unbelievable this year, man. Consistent. There's barely been any dips really that I can recall. Consistent dips. 42 games this year, and he's been so good. He's been everything and more that I really thought. Like I was one of those guys who thought that he was going to take the starting job over Murray. I think a lot of people did. Over time, I think a lot of fans thought Keefe and Dubas, they wanted Murray to take it, but overall Samsonov would eventually get it, and he's ran away with it. Like, it's not even close, man.
Well, I actually made like some bold predictions before the season, and so what my take was, and I've kind of been reverting back to the Washington Pittsburgh examples. Maybe it's just like a lame kind of reach for me, but my take was like Murray was going to start and Samsonov was going to take over because of like a Murray injury or something. I figured that was bound to happen. And then Samsonov take it, but Murray take over at some point later in the season playoffs. Obviously that take is just not possible because Murray can't stay healthy at all.
Yeah. And I don't want to fault him too much for the last injury though.
Yeah. But I do think Samsonov, like, I have the confidence in Samsonov. I'm just worried, man, that it's like he has that lack of experience. He has that lack of winning in the playoffs. And I mean, kind of what we joked about before is like, if Samsonov falters in a game or two there early in the series, like, what are they going to do? Like, if Murray's not healthy, like, you don't like it's at that point.
Well, it's something we didn't really talk about with Corwin, and I had that question sort of lined up, but we went in so many different directions. And I guess you're saying if the Leafs were to lose both games at home, like, what do you do after that? And
or even
Samsonov
like
doesn't look great,
for example, and obviously in the Columbus Washington example that I revert back to, like, Columbus won those first two games. Holtby goes in, Washington wins 4 straight. So I don't necessarily think that's going to happen with Toronto, but like, for example, what if game 1 Leafs win, but they win 6-5 and Samsonov allows 5 goals on 25 shots or 24 shots. And then game 2, he just gets lit up. What do you do there? You probably go back to him, but it's like, at that point, say Samsonov allows 10 goals in 2 games or 8 goals in 2 games. What do you do at that point? Again, to me, maybe this is a reverse jinx, but my worry now is like, they had the confidence in Murray there. Again, Samsonov just doesn't have that experience. I hope, in me saying this and playing devil's advocate, I don't know, Lucas, do you have a mindset on that? Like, do you just ride Samsonov because of Murray's like injury?
I'm on the camp. I truly believe this could bite me in the butt, but I truly believe that like Matt Murray shouldn't get another game this year.
Well, yeah, man, if he's not 100%.
Like if he's not playing before playoffs, I don't want him coming in game 3 or game 4 of a high stakes series. So therefore you're turning to wall. And you know, it's a way different comparison. But I know last year, Ville Husso took the net in St. Louis and started game 1 and 2. And he got lit in one of those games and they lost. And Binner came in and won 4 straight. Completely different because Binner's got the pedigree, right?
Yeah.
And Wall doesn't have that. So I think that's a little panicky to, you know,
and
that's a lot of pressure on Wall.
And that's why I kind of made the point of Murray, because it's like usually in that scenario, and I forget who said it, but it's like, Jackie Redmond said it actually. She said it's much easier to go from like the younger guy to the vet versus like go to the vet to put all the pressure on the younger guy.
On the young guy. Yeah. It's so true. It's like when Washington started with Grubauer, obviously, and he faltered. They had Holtby, who they've trusted for years and years.
Big, like, obviously didn't mean anything, but big dub in my eyes. I mean, it's a division rival. You took a point away from them, and obviously at the end of the day, you got Matthews to 40. I think that's a big confidence boost. You're 1 away from Marner, 100 points. And as we talked about, I know we kind of played devil's advocate there at the end, but at the end of the day, Samsonov just keeps looking more confident. Hopefully he's healthy, but 44 saves on 45 shots, 2-1 Leafs dub in overtime. John Tavares. And as we talked about, I mean, he's showing, and I revert back to game 6. And I know you hate hearing this from me, what should have been a game 7 goal. And you see those moments from Tavares, the 2 in game 6, what could have been a game 7. Like, those are the moments in tight that he does. And as you talked about, I don't think it's too much of a hot take to say, if you want a guy in that scenario all alone by himself, like, JT's up there, if not the guy.
Absolutely. Well, buddy, we're 1 week away, man. One week from
away.
playoffs.
It's crazy, man. It doesn't seem like it, but it'll probably, like, once the season's over is when I usually be like, wow, it's
it's going to seem like it. It's going to seem like it this week when it's getting up to 23, 24 degrees here in the GTA.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Playoffs a week away. We'll see 3-team race between the Pens, Islanders, and the Panthers. And man, I honestly wanted to believe it would come down to the last game, but honestly, I'm glad that both conferences have this, because last year it was like nothing basically, especially in the East. Like, the East was like locked in weeks before. As
we're speaking, Calgary and Nashville are playing, right? And Nashville's up 1-0 in the first. So that's a huge game. It's got big implications. That can knock. Well, Calgary can almost be No, they won't be knocked yet because Winnipeg won tonight and they still got a couple points. Yeah. But it's going to come down to the last game, man.
Yeah.
It's coming down to the last game. That's what we wanted. John, I want to say next week we got another big guest coming on, and you wanted to throw this out there that get the bracket challenge predicting. So
yes.
I'll be doing that.
Yes.
I know you'll be doing yours as well.
Yep. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think overall, it usually puts up the most debate. But Lucas, I'm intrigued to see your bracket, man.
We got to do ours like completely separate. We're not communicating.
Yeah, we're not.
We got to bring ours to the table, and that way we have no chat about it to the point where it's
no. So yeah,
wrong.
like mine will be made probably like on the Friday, I guess.
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday. So like, yeah, you cannot watch that video. Do not look at that video.
I will not do it. I'll have mine by Sunday morning, and then once we record, we'll go through it and stuff. We can debate and everything, and hopefully we don't have the exact same.
And
bracket.
Then as you give your picks out, I'll reveal what I got.
Yeah, there we go. I revealed one of mine on the pod today, and I have Leafs in 6 over Tampa.
Woo!
Hopefully that doesn't bite me.
We'll see what happens.
Corwin with the fiver.
Bro, that guy, Corwin, you're going to be getting your couple tweets at you, man. You're going to get a couple.
Wild.
So we'll see. Yeah. You know what? I really hope we see it this year, Lucas. I'll save the combos for the rest of the week, but thank you guys so much. Episode 32. And you flip that around. You got a Matty Knies debut tonight. That was cool, man. Honestly, I'll finish it off by just saying I'm glad we got the Knies debut tonight. And honestly, I hope he plays the last 2. So
I hope so too. I know it's going to be a tough turnaround with the back-to-back, but like he's got young legs. Get him in there.
Yep. We'll see if the Leafs rest some guys throughout the rest of the NHL. Lots of races still in division spots and for wild cards. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Make sure you check it out on Spotify and Apple, the Hot Take Hockey podcast. From Lucas and myself, huge shouts to Lucas for the Corwin chat as well. Have a great one. Peace.